Okay, so let's begin with a small reflection. For this reflection, I'll suggest you to um, only write one word. Um, Most of the time, we are used to either thinking in terms of sentences or even writing or speaking also in terms of sentences. For this particular reflection, I'll suggest you to just write one word. So let's go back to your last 2 days or a week. When you saw your child being patient, maybe write one word about that incident, or what was the child doing, anything which can make you remember the whole situation. When did you feel that your child was patient? And if you have put up the words, you can think of the time when you felt your child was committed. Before we proceed with more reflection, just I wanted to confirmation that you are able to follow me, or if you have any doubt, you can ask me a question, use chat window or mic, or give me a quick yes on the chat window that you are there. Okay, so let's move ahead, or maybe go back to whenever you can remember when your child you felt was committed. Write one word, suggesting not to write sentences at this moment. Think of the place or incident or an experience when your child was with self. And if you are done with that, maybe you can think when you felt your child was careless. And if you're with me till these 4 points, we have few more to go. Give me a quick yes on chat window for me to know you're there with me. Or, yep, some of you are also sharing on chat window. Maybe at this time, you can just note it down in your, careless with self or others, or with work, or with resources, or with thoughts, or with reaction, whatever, wherever you felt the careless, you felt. Yeah, at this moment, it's not important for you to share your responses in chat window. Just writing in your notebook is enough. Let's move ahead. When you felt your child was confused, maybe you felt because your child was responding in different ways, or your child was asking for more information, or you concluded that your child is confused in this particular action or task. or the moment.
वैसे ये important है अब.
Naman's mic is on. It will be nice if you keep your mic on mute. Okay, so when did you feel your child was compassionate? Compassionate for people, compassionate for self, compassionate for resources. During your interaction, when did you feel that your child was taking feedback? Last 2 days, last 1 week? When you felt your child was taking feedback from you, maybe feedback from other people? When did you feel your child was skillful? And if you are able to connect skill in anything, whatever the child was doing, and when did you feel that your child was trying something? And if you have been able to write at least one word for all of these prompts, you can give me a quick yes on the chat window and then we can move ahead. Okay, so let's share. Maybe you can come on. Okay, maybe you can just type in the chat window and think of the ways or things which you feel that you can make your child reflect on. So what we did right now is that just we took few of the either you can call it strengths or weaknesses or the thoughts where we tried reflecting back. Maybe we can co-create what are the different things which we can make the child reflect on. You can type your responses on the chat window. Or if you have any thought and you want to speak up, you can come on the mic. That's Jinal. Whatever you could find, at least you were thinking about that. Yeah, so when you say patience, maybe you're saying that we can make child reflect on various either emotions or various strengths, or we call it habits of mind, which the child is exhibiting or not exhibiting. We can make the child reflect on that. Yeah. What else can we make the child reflect on? Yeah, Rajni is saying that maybe, yeah, how was your day? Yeah, maybe we can go back to the day. And yeah, Rajni, maybe you can also a little more share what in the day we can. Somebody is saying Divyu. I'm not able to sorry pronounce your name. Yeah, how can effectively use your time? How did the day go? Yeah, behavior. Reflect on interaction. Radhika is saying. Poonam is asking about the feelings. That how was the different feelings? Yeah, Junel is saying maybe on the process that how did it go? Did it go nicely? Maybe we can describe what does that nicely mean. Maybe we can go in the details like whether it was neat, whether it was effective, whether it was effective. Yeah, Hiral is saying happiness. Yeah, we can reflect on what kind of emotion came throughout whatever. Yeah, Ritu is again saying, yeah, we can talk about the emotions. We can talk about the when you're talking about Ritu insufficiency, maybe you're also talking about the strengths and weaknesses. Maybe you're also talking about to reflect on the time management. Parul, maybe you're talking about the social interactions and the social emotions. And you're also talking about possibilities that what else can be done. Yeah, Radhika is talking about how does the environment help. Yep, yeah. So here is another some of the list of the things which we have put in, and I think many more specific topics which we can make the children reflect on. What we did in the previous exercise is that we reflected on our own images about the child, that when the child I felt was like that. Many of the time in the flow of the things, we even forget to connect with ourselves and then pause and think that, oh, maybe the child was impatient, but the child was patient also at that moment. Maybe the child was throwing tantrum or crying, but maybe the child was also enjoying at that moment. So if we can be aware that, okay, there are many different ways, many different aspects on which we can reflect on. Yeah. Also, I just wanted to bring a little point when we talk about the reflection that it actually does not matter what the child is saying. What matters is that through this thing you're making the child think. So when I was asking you when did you feel your child was patient or when you felt your child was committed, it does not matter whether you could actually go back to the commitment part or not, but you were thinking, was my child committed? Did I observe? Maybe you didn't observe. Maybe you'll observe it next day. Maybe you will think, oh, this is not important that my child should be committed or not. Okay. So there is a lot of internal processes happening the moment I give these, when we bring these prompts and these stimulation to think. Also, what happens is that actually, uh, uh, when we do reflection with children, we actually don't go by what they're saying, because what they're saying is for themselves. Sometimes even the environment affects them. Somebody is listening to them, so they are, they have to speak up the a kind of the best of the reflection. They may have to not respond, or maybe not show their vulnerability, that okay, this didn't happen, this didn't go well, or maybe so-called whatever we name it, ego, attitude, apprehensions, whatever you want to call it, that those factors can come in between, and then or maybe my need to prove that things are going perfectly all right with me, so I can respond in any which way. uh, so So there is a little uh, maybe a note to note is that it's not. It actually does not matter what the child is saying. What the child is thinking is far more important. Um, so maybe even if the child is saying to you, maybe the child is
wait, I'm going to interrupt here. I get tempted, when the child says something, let's say the child says, I made a very good point. Or whatever. Or the child says, yeah, it was cool, man. I did it well. So and I know that the child wasn't doing much. I observed the child doing nothing. Now the child is saying, yes, I had a good time or whatever, I did it well.
Yeah.
Now there's a contradiction. Now what you do?
Yeah, so maybe Ratish, you need to think and then keep in mind that this reflection is for the child, not for you to check what was happening, because then it's your reflection, right? It's your assessment. The whole idea of reflection is to bring my ability to assess myself. Even though I'm saying that I did well.
So the child said, I worked on it.
Ratnesh, sorry to interrupt. We can't hear anything what you all are saying. I'm really sorry. Your voice is cracking.
Just give me
Yeah.
just give me a minute.
Are others able to hear us?
Ratnesh, wait. We'll try again. Let me start again.
Okay. Okay. So what I was saying is, what if I saw the child, when I asked the child...
Are you able to hear now, Ratnesh?
Are you able to hear me now? Okay. So what I'm saying is that what if I observe the child, that the child wasn't doing... I as an adult, father, parent, whatever, facilitator, I observed the child wasn't doing anything. But when I asked in the reflection, so how was it? How much did you work? Oh, yeah, I worked for 1 hour. But I know that the child didn't do anything for that hour. Or maybe he did for 5-10 minutes. But he's claiming he did hard work for 1 hour. So there is there's a data mismatch. Now what do we do?
They can't hear Ratnesh. Okay.
Saying it's breaking. It's breaking.
Can you hear me now?
Very clearly.
Okay. Maybe my mobile doesn't like Ratnesh, because Ratnesh is questioning me
No,
now.
we could hear Ratnesh quite clearly as well.
Oh, as well. Oh, okay, my mobile is friends with Ratnesh back. Okay. So maybe some of you are able to hear, some of you are not able to hear. We'll go ahead with what Ratnesh was asking me is, or giving a prompt to me, is that as a parent, as an adult, if I have observed that the child is not done something, and in reflection the child is saying, I have done that, then what? There is a there is a need in me as an adult that to either find out or to prove that you are not doing it. So what is that in that situation one needs to do? So I think what Ratnesh is saying, the point that finally the reflection is for the child. I can bring a different process, as some of you said, time management, efficiency. I can bring different aspects as I understand that how my child is responding in various aspects. But at the same time, I also need to keep in mind that this reflection is not to get a right answer or not to get a right or wrong answer. The reflection is all about child thinking about himself, child connecting and child understanding. If I didn't do something, what happened? What is that I can do to either happen, or do I really need to happen? Yeah, Ratnesh wants to add something.
So what you are saying is that in a let's call it a teacher-directed environment.
Are you able to listen to Ratnesh?
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is in a teacher-directed or whatever adult-directed environment, the whatever the assessment that I wasn't doing work or I was doing work will be done by the teachers or the adults.
Yep.
But here even if I'm saying I worked for 1 hour, I know deep inside I worked only for 5 minutes, and that is a sensitization enough for me to reflect as a child. How am I living my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Both in terms of doing and also in terms of what am I saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at different levels, I'm reflecting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think, Ritu, what you are saying is exactly the point that I'm trying to highlight is that the temptation to correct, to bring my observation is too tempting. The temptation is too tempting. Maybe we need to hold back and let's see how internally we can get the child to turn. That is really the reflection. Not pull the ropes which are in our hand, or rather, let's not take the ropes in our hand. Rather, give the child the steering wheel of his thinking, his living, his life. That is what is self-directed learning.
Yeah. Also, I think somewhere if we can hold on to those observations and collect those observations before we maybe what you are thinking that the child is not doing anything is actually for the child is doing something. So I think that's where the lot of these connecting the child, understanding child, maybe sharing that I observed this and then thinking about it. So the whole thing is again and again going back to the child, and then and the making the child think. I also want to bring this to that when a child says something which we want to hear, like for example, if the child says, I was feeling thrilled, and I also think yes, child was excited with what I brought. I think in both the situation, whether I'm listening the reflection which I want to listen from the child, or I'm listening the reflection which needs to match up with my observation in all different situations, I think let the reflection be the reflection. Let the reflection be my internal process rather than a checking process by anyone at this moment.
And can I say something like, would you like to hear my thoughts about how you spend your time?
Yeah, Ratish, I think now you are going beyond this. I can spend the whole session on this whole process, that how as an adult I need to pause, I need to observe, I need to understand before I bring my conclusion over something. So Rashmi is also saying that yes, it will help the child to create. Child is choosing at that time, and so whatever is happening, I think you are creating a space. Whatever is happening inside the child through this prompt which you're asking the child is that's what the child's understanding about himself. So what I was doing with you in the previous small where we talking about when did you feel your child committed. So now my definition and your definition of commitment doesn't need to match. It's all your reflection. It's all your thoughts. It's all what you were thinking at that time, and that is what matters most. So before we move on to the next part, we'll be recapping some of the concepts which we have possibly touched upon in last two sessions. So before I move on to that, I just want to hear, or maybe if you want to have some thoughts, type on chat window and then we can move ahead.
Hi Aditi, Gina here.
Yeah, Gina. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, we can do this reflection with the child any time of the day, or ask the child.
I like your response to yourself.
Okay. Also, I wanted to.
Maybe we will come to that as we move ahead in our presentation today.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, Suru was saying instead of commenting, we should let the child think on his own and assess. Maybe you can say duty, maybe you can say our role is that what we can do. We can make child think in many different ways. Yeah. So I'll move ahead with the recap. For this recap, you will need either a blank page or a drawing sheet with some of either sketch pens you have, or even a pen will do. And in this, it will take around 10 minutes for this process. Uh, it will take around 10 minutes for this process. But for this process, one of the things which I suggest you to do is that don't write, draw. This whole exercise is. Someone's mic is on. Yeah, Parul, your mic is on. Rajini's mic is also on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Bhavika, I'll come back to your question. Let me finish this process and then we'll come back. Remind me if I've forgotten your question, which you're asking about not so good habits. So I'm requesting for this particular exercise, let's draw. It's not important you draw nice, you don't know how to draw, or you draw very nicely. It's all it's all your drawing. It's all your scribbling instead of writing. That's all. Just in case if you just want some writing, maybe you may write a one word, but try experiencing it without writing sentences in this whole process. In last two sessions, we have gone through the concept of I decide. That's where the framework of STL we are sharing with all of you, that how do I decide, and then I do, and then I reflect back, and the cycle continues. In this process, some of you, in some places, in some time, you did connect with the child, and the child said or whatever the child decided about it. You went through the process. Maybe you created a clarity for you by asking what do you want to do, when you want to do, where you want to do, what resources you want to use, where will you get these resources from, depending on your interaction with the child. Whatever happened during that decision process, I would like you to draw that experience. You can draw the feelings coming out of that whole experience. You can draw the thoughts coming out of that whole experience. You can draw the confusion which you have or had, or whatever happening there, how the child was speaking, how you were speaking, where were you sitting, how were you sitting, whatever detail you want to put in this drawing of yours, you can scribble a little those scenes in your drawing book. And as you scribble, and if you can recap that, did you also talk about the resources? Did you also talk about the help offering from your side? Did you guys also decided a time where you can meet, help each other, co-create, or be together? Did you guys also talked about to do that work, what all skills you need, or maybe you did not talk about it? If you would have talked, what is that would have happened? Maybe you can draw a little about that. Did you, while you were deciding, did you talk about To do that task, what all skills you need to develop, or what all things you need to develop, including my reactions, including my responses, my inner thoughts, whatever was the process which you had of this whole I decide process. And most importantly, what were your thoughts at that time, or maybe what are your thoughts at this time? You can draw your thoughts. And also remember that the process of planning is not to make the child do what you want the child to do. It's a process to ignite a spirit of SDL in your child, which your child actually already is. So what was your experience with this whole process? Wrong. Carol, I'm muting you. It will be nice that if you can keep your mic mute. Thank you. And if you are satisfied with your drawing, which you have drawn, and if you can give me indication in the chat window with yes, I can move on to the next recap. Yeah, as in when you're done with your drawing of this I decide experience, give me a yes. So I know that you are done and I can move ahead. Yeah, Ankur, what are your thoughts coming with respect to this whole concept of I decide, which you have experienced in last 1 week? Some of you put yes in the chat window. Some of you are maybe still doing it. I'll move ahead. And if you want me to come back, maybe we can revisit it a little later. Also, we have been talking about the concept of dial the child. And when you think of this whole thing, dial the child, what comes in your mind? What are your apprehensions? What are your thoughts, feelings, inner voice? What's happening to you when you think about this dial the child? Some of you express that you're confused. What is this dial the child? And I think Viji very beautifully put it on the WhatsApp, and I have put the same thing for you as a prompt. Mansi is saying, connect to your child. Yes, the concept of dial the child is that to understand what's happening in child's mind. What child already has in his mind, as Jinal was saying right now, that, when should I do the reflection? And then she said, okay, I should ask the child that when can we have the reflection? So, yeah, so when you think about this whole concept, when are the places, which are the occasions in last 1 week you went back to the child to understand what is in the child's mind, And whatever child expressed to you, what went in your mind, what happened, maybe you can draw a little. You can also, okay, I'll pause before I give you the next prompt. Some of us also get carried away by the thought that the child is small and maybe won't understand, maybe won't have any thoughts, maybe not have much opinion about something. And I think it's best to ask someone else who knows better about either children or about the world around us. So this concept brings us back to the dial, the child, bring us back to the child, and it also creates a space for us, reminder for us, encourages us to give up that directorship position, instead go with the child and so for some of you, it's a new concept. Some of you have been practicing this concept. Some of you have been doing this in many different ways. What was your experience in last 1 week? Which are the occasions when you went back? Little replay in your mind, maybe recreate that thing in your drawing book. Scribble. If you wish, you can use the colors. And if you're satisfied with what you have drawn, if your thoughts have come on the paper or your drawing sheet, give me a yes in the chat window. Yeah, that's okay, Ankur. If they're not coming by a drawing, you can create shapes, you can create objects which you relate with. Maybe you can write few words, maybe you can write few thoughts. The invitation is to look at from a different window. And if you are done with your creation, recreating your experience, type yes in chat window. Yeah, I can see some of yes in the chat window. I'll move ahead. One of the concepts which we talked about was the co-creation. Co-creation is the concept where we take the whole concept from me to we. And the we in this is me and child together. We together create the opportunities, the possibilities, the invitation, sharing our opinion. So go back to last 1 week and then see what happened when you shared your opinion with your child. Maybe when the child was deciding, maybe when the child was doing something, maybe child was expressing something, and you just shared your opinion. When was the time when you negotiated with the child? Can we do this at that time, or this is not possible, this is possible? Can we also include this in our planning? Can we not do this? Can we reduce the time for this? Can we also look at the different things? When did negotiation happen? How it happened? What was happening at that time? Maybe you didn't negotiate. And now when you're hearing about the negotiation, what's coming in your mind? Which are the places where you could have negotiated? Maybe draw those situations, scribble them. When was the time that, what happened when you offered your availability to the child? Invited the child, give an invitation to the child that, let me know where all do you need my help? Without child asking that I need your help. When did you just made yourself available to the child, and what happened? What all did you reflect internally yourself, or maybe help the child to reflect? What kind of conversation you had with the child? And when I talk about reflection, I'm not talking about sharing your observation. I'm talking about invitation to reflect, invitation to think about the various things that the child was doing, child was not doing, child was throwing tantrums, child was not throwing tantrums. Whatever the child was doing. And what was happening? Who was all around with you? Where it happened? Maybe if you want to put those details. What was the time of the day? Was it hot? Was it cold? What were you thinking at that time? Go back to your co-creation with the child. These are just some of the prompts. I'm sure you would have done it many different places, many different ways. Co-creation with your child. And if you are done, satisfied with your recap, type yes in chat window. Okay, thanks for responding. And as you're thinking about it, let me take you through the last concept where we talked about possibilities, where we talked about possibilities arising from our living. What all did you try? What all did you see? Maybe groceries are over at home. Who will be the grocery manager now? Who will decide what kind of safety measures to take? Who's the menu manager at home? Who is checking that the people are taking care of their health? Who is in charge that each one in the house is doing something? Or someone said, using their time effectively. Who was the one who was ensuring that whatever the work committed each one in the house is doing? Who was even in charge of the reflection? What's happening? Whatever opportunities, whatever possibilities came out from living, how did you, and what did you include in your living? We also talked about various possibilities coming out from the world as a curriculum. Which all things did you touch upon? What kind of exposure did you bring for the child? What kind of stimulation did you create for the child or the family or for yourself? Which we talked about in the last session. What was your experience with this whole concept of possibilities? Maybe you did, maybe you did not do it, maybe you did not get the opportunity. Maybe it was back of your mind, maybe it was the top priority for you. Whatever was happening to you, maybe you were confused, maybe you were too excited, maybe you were overwhelmed, maybe you were at peace. Maybe you're already doing it. Maybe you're looking forward to doing it. Yeah, maybe you were stuck. That how do I bring it? Where do I bring it? When do I bring it? Maybe if you go back to your week now, and maybe you can think of, oh, there I could have done it. It's not important that you did it or not did it or not. Yeah, if you're feeling, even if right now, if you're feeling stuck, maybe draw, maybe where all you were stuck, what all happened to you, or maybe what's happening to you right now when you're thinking that you're stuck. And if you're done, this time, maybe don't type yes in the chat window, maybe give a pause to yourself. And if you have the need to share, or if you want to share, you want to talk, come on mic. If you want to type in the chat window. The floor is open for you. We'll take another 5 minutes for listening, or maybe writing, and then we'll move ahead. Yeah, you may have some doubts, may have some thoughts, maybe have some experiences to share. You can come on mic or you can type.
Hi Aditi, Rajni here.
Yeah, hi Rajni.
I'm just thinking out loud. I recently asked my son to take up the brushing manager's I asked if he would be interested, and he said so because I want him to also consciously look at his own brushing habits.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just thinking, would it be better if all the people at home, we have some kind of a rota of different tasks, and the child doesn't feel, I have a single child, so he doesn't feels singled out with the tasks, and sees that everybody has a task to do, and we have some kind of a taking turns situation. Have you explored that in your, I mean, of course, with multiple children, it is easier to do, but with one child, it becomes a little trickier.
So at this moment, you're feeling, are you feeling confused, or feeling apprehensive that maybe it's not possible to bring out the opportunity out of living? Are you feeling the constraint?
I am trying to see these solutions in the long run. And when I start with one task today, I'm trying to see how I can run this concept for a longer time. What problems can occur? So knowing my son, he will see that he is doing one task, and if the other people are also contributing equally, so being fair is high on his list.
Okay.
So that's how I'm wondering, to make this successful, the possibilities of these small, I mean, these modularized possibilities, to make it run for a longer time. So if he keeps doing the brushing manager task, let's say for a week, after a week, he might say, okay, I am done and I'm doing, and I am guessing his interests will fade. I give him some other task, and so I see that the new interests will have some time, and then they will fade down. How do I make sure that there is a consistency, or that environment is built around children at home, and it becomes so ingrained?
So let's see if someone else has some experience to share with respect to what are the different exposures are created at home, what are the different experience can be created at home. Yeah, from the group, anyone has any thought what Rajni is talking about, or any other thought arising from this whole recap which we did right now?
Ma'am, can I say something?
You need to just tell your name, and then go ahead, please.
I am Purvi.
Yeah, Purvi.
Yes, ma'am. Though I have not been able to practice a lot of it, but though attending your sessions and then reflecting upon the things, there are quite many things that will happen automatically during past this 1 week. And I was literally amazed that actually the things are happening. It's just that I'm not reflecting upon. And thanks a lot for making us realize this, because it was just happening somehow. One thing, like today, it's just before this session, my son just walked up. We were doing some craft activity together. So he just said, "I'm going for my lecture," and I was like, "What lecture? Which lecture are you going to attend?" So he's like, "There's an art lecture that I'm going to attend." So he's made his file and he just went into another room with his file, and I thought he must be writing something in that. So after half an hour, I just happened to peep to what was he doing. He was having his tab on, he was having a pen and a file open, and he's making his notes and doing all those things. So it was really interesting to see that he's almost having that urge, like just as I'm attending the sessions, he's also trying to learn by himself and trying to explore some things. I have not been able to ask him what was he seeing and what did he do in art lecture and all that.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that soon. But it was nice. And one more activity he planned on his own was this quiz activity.
Purvi, we'll keep it little short.
Okay, ma'am. No problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
The invitation is to maybe share more on WhatsApp, maybe use
Okay.
the
Sure.
voice recorded messages. And I think in WhatsApp, we have much more space to listen to all
Okay.
the
Okay.
stories. Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I'm sorry. I think I didn't mention that. Let's keep our stories, expressions crisp. So all in the group gets the sharing space in next few couple of minutes. Bhavika, you also shared on WhatsApp also that your child has resigned and how to inculcate these habits. Yeah, so maybe you can go back to the reflection process. Maybe you can go back to understanding that how did you develop any habit? Do you when we were talking about a little more, we'll also take it up in our next tool, which we are going to share in a couple of minutes. So maybe hold on till then. Yeah. Vishruti wants to understand Rajni's question. Maybe we can take back Rajni's question maybe through WhatsApp, or Rajni can share typing here. What I understood is that she's asking that how do we create different exposures. Poonam is asking, they keep exploring and some activities they feel interesting. And if they feel that the activity is interesting, they will be consistent. Yep, maybe not. Maybe we need to go back to children and a little more observe them. What kind of things interest them, what kind of things makes them consistent, or we even need to understand what is our definition of consistency. And does that matter? Does that matches with the child's definition of consistency? Child might be thinking that I'm not consistent, but we might think the child is consistent. So very nicely, yes, Poonam, you have put up that one of the indication can be that if the child is interested, child will take it forward. Yep. Yeah, Rajni, thanks for understanding. Yeah, try to little more detail out or maybe share more experiences for us to understand. Okay, so I'm assuming at this moment, maybe we have some thoughts, maybe we don't have some thoughts, maybe we are able to go ahead as well as I'm able to go ahead with the tools which we have today. We will be talking about two tools today on adding value in this whole process of I decide. This whole concept, the framework which we are talking about, I decide, I do, and I reflect. Yeah, how as a parent, how as an adult, how as a teacher, mentor, we deciding this whole concept. Yeah, one of the concept in Aarohi we have is we bring this tool of buckets. We even literally draw the visual buckets, and then we and put the different headings for them. And we typically begins with what is my interest, and then in that bucket, what all do I want to put? What all interests me? What has interested me in the past? Or maybe sometime we also bring those maps which we were talking about with the possibilities which we are talking about. When I think about literature, what comes in your mind? If there's something interests me in that map, maybe social, maybe that's that word, maybe the mathematics, maybe the nature. So we keep on giving those prompts or stimulation to children to connect with that. Any of those things from that, does that interest me? So I can put like we go for shopping and then we keep putting all the things in our buckets. Maybe we may not buy at the end of the day. Maybe we will not start. Maybe we will not start working on it right now. But what I'm doing right now is, as a child, is that I'm just collecting my dreams of my interest, what is all that I want to collect. Another thing which maybe another bucket, and these buckets keep changing, so these buckets are not stationary. It depends on the time which
Aditi, your voice is breaking, so we are not able to exactly hear you completely.
Is it clear? Is it better now?
Yeah, this one is better.
Okay, fine. So did you get through what I was talking about, the interest part, interest bucket? Can you hear me now?
Your voice was completely gone. Now we can hear you again.
Okay. Could you follow me what I was talking about, the interest part?
Not really. Can you please repeat?
Yeah. Okay. So what I was talking about is that one of the bucket which we connect to the child, and in that interest, we first begin with whatever the child's interest right now. Maybe what was the child interested some months back or year back. It does not matter what I'm putting right now. When I say does not matter, it does not matter that I will do it right now or maybe next one day or 1 day. Just want to check, are you able to hear me now?
No, I think it's the same, but I guess you keep talking, we'll figure out something out of it.
Wait, yeah, let me just check if I can do something. Can someone else share how is my voice? Are you able to hear me? Voice cracking?
Aditi, you are clear in between, and in between there is a complete loss of what you're saying. So
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so maybe I think it's important for just give me, I guess, few more minutes. I'll see if I can change it and get back to it.
Can you hear?
Can you hear me? Okay, is it better? Okay. Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, so what I was talking about is that Ratnesh is also sharing the slide in a couple of minutes. What I was talking about is we begin with the bucket of interest, and in that interest, first we begin with what all the child's interests are, and then we also add value by sharing some of our knowledge about what the child are possible. And one of the things which we shared in the last session was those possibilities, different maps. When I think of literature, what comes in your mind? When you think of mathematics, what comes in your mind? So we create invitation for the child to get stimulated about, oh, these are the possibilities. I can think, maybe I'm not interested in literature, but maybe I'm interested in music and dance, or maybe in music I'm interested in listening, not too much into talking. So we do in different stages, we do these invitation to put things in my bucket, and then we keep reviewing those buckets. We keep going back, and another bucket which we talk about is that it's like you're going to the supermarket, and then you have 6 buckets. In one bucket you can put your groceries, in one bucket you can keep your clothes, one bucket you can keep your toys, and you can choose whatever you want to choose. So like that, we create different buckets for the children. And another bucket with the child can decide. We invite the child that what all kind of exposures would you like to have? Would you like to have in different fields? Maybe the child say, I have never tried drumming, and I would like the exposure of drumming. Or I have seen my friend doing rock climbing, and I have never done rock climbing, and maybe I want to catch butterflies, I have not done. So that gives us the indication that what is the child is thinking, and what is that we can create for the child.
We can also add ideas to what the child is not previously exposed to. So we can bring in, hey, have you heard jazz music? Have you played tangram? Or have you done something which he has not possibly seen or heard?
Yeah. So that's where some of us are asking that how do I add value? Maybe that's one opportunity. Just 1 minute. Okay, so that's one opportunity where we get to create, co-create, fill in a lot of things, give ideas to children, and just remember, these ideas are just thrown to the children, not to be without any expectations that the children will receive those ideas, or children want to say yes to any of those things at that moment. uh, One of the things which we another bucket which we talk about is the basic skills. So we invite the child to decide what is that in the basic skills, and when the child would like uh, to work on those basic skills. And then we have our own list of basic skills, like say basic skill to for the literature, for basic ability to read and write, basic ability to have a mathematical concepts, maybe basic ability to have to be able to cook, to be able to understand your emotion, maybe able to connect with the government officials, um, uh, understand what's happening in the news. How do I understand which news to take, which news not to take? How do I do presentation? How do I connect with people? How do I research? How do I do research? So we have our own list of, I can share the basic skills, but I think each family can co-create those basic skills which are important for you. And then and also also what happens in this whole process is that uh, at this moment mentally we are at peace if the child is not choosing what we want the child to choose. Yeah. My own child, my own son, didn't choose to develop his reading and writing abilities till he was 7.5 years old. But then I could and we could afford that because we were not looking for any of the conventional education. But then some of the children who are in conventional education, they might need this basic skills as per their uh, curriculum or whatever their studies, and that's where I guess the negotiations can start. I was talking about the co-creation, and I was talking about the negotiations. Then that's where it can start. That's where the understanding can be brought. That's where our opinions can be put forward to the child, that uh, uh, maybe you are not interested, but then this is how this is important. And this bucket concept, while we are negotiating, brings a lot of space to understand each other, what somebody is thinking. So we also have a kind of a, we put a little tag on it. I think it's important, but I'm not developing right now. I don't think it's important. Maybe I'll think about it. So all those prompts we the children puts up in various ways. Another bucket which we bring for the children is that uh, any which area, one area or few areas you would like to go deeper. Uh, Maybe the child is feeling somewhere that, okay, I'm just I'm just not getting enough. I'm not satisfied with what I'm doing. Maybe my needs are different, and that's where the invitation of deeper work on any of one interest, of many interest, is created, or maybe stimulated, or given the idea that this is also a possibility where you can go deeper and do that. uh, Yep. Uh, Bhavika, you're asking what if the child doesn't buy our ideas after negotiation? Yeah, that's the idea. That how do you bring that kind of understanding at home level? Uh, Another thing which we bring in is that, and that's where maybe Bhavika, your question can be answered. We talk about self and social. Uh, uh, do you know that all the things which we talk about in self, all the values which we talk about, all the habits of mind or the strengths which we talk about can actually be developed. Only thing is we need to work consciously on that. So maybe in self, we also give prompt to the children. What an emotion would you like to develop? What would you like to work on? Your any one emotion? Would you like to work on any one social interaction which you're doing with either with others, or within a within yourself? So uh, those many things. Maybe do you want to work on any of your strength? Maybe you want to work on any of your weaknesses. uh, and another window which we talk about is, since we all live in a community, we all live together. So is there anything which you would like to contribute to the community? Is there anything which you would like to, like someone was asking on WhatsApp, that are the projects given are they compulsory for children? No, they are not compulsory, but they are the invitation. um, to maybe we need a tippity tap for our wash basin, and then I contribute to it. Maybe as a group we need to come together at 4 o'clock and do campus care. We have a concept of campus care where we all clean or do something for the campus. So maybe those were the non-negotiable structures which were there in their bucket. So I think what I'm trying to share is that there are many different possibilities which are possible. Many different kind of buckets are possible, and that gives the space for the child to think, child to decide, and child to choose or not choose at that time. I think Ratnesh wants to share something. Before that, I guess one of you had put some chat message, which I have lost it after I lost the connection. Just want to check is everybody is able to hear me. I'll hand over the mic to Ratnesh, and Ratnesh wants to add to this whole process.
Yeah, I want to share that this breaking up the deciding part into different buckets just help in the thinking process. The idea is not that all buckets needs to get filled up, or that children should subscribe to our view or we should subscribe to children's views. These are to stimulate the thinking of what all I can do in my life. Life has so many possibilities. So this whole categorization is only to do that, not to achieve any end results or tick in all the boxes or something like that. Or we get very excited about one bucket and try to make it, the child reach some milestone that we want the child to reach. And also for the child to realize that learning isn't about just one aspect in life. school somehow may give that impression to the child, but even let's say self-social is important, and community is important, and exposures is important, and so on. So the child realizes that there can be so many beautiful vistas in my life which I can look at, and not just one kind of learning. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, Ankur has put a one query. Ankur, can you type it again, because I have lost in my chat window once I logged out. Ritu is asking, please elaborate deep, and Lipika is asking, how do you convince them for non-negotiable? Yeah, so let me a little more talk about the deep. Deep is something which you want to go something deeper. Something you want to do more, something you want to maybe some children also look at that as a career options at this moment, thinking maybe they can change after a month that career option. uh, uh, so the interest level, say exposure level, is that maybe I'll do something for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour. I decide how much duration I want to give. But then if I have done those uh, uh, durations and exposure, and I'm not satisfied only at this exposure level, and I want to get into expertise level, and that's where the invitation of deep is given to the child. So this deep can be in any area. It can be academics, it can be a interest, it can be a hobby, a particular hobby which a child wants to develop. In that case, the academics can be the side bucket, and the hobby bucket can be the deeper bucket. Many of the children are doing um, uh, in many different forms many of these buckets. It's just that, as Ratnesh said, I'm repeating that this gives the childs to look at things in different ways, and then also gives a space to the child that I have the space to choose when do I want to choose, and how do I want to move ahead with that. Bhavika is asking about the aspect of good habit. Uh, yeah, I think, Bhavika, if you talk about, first of all, you need to think about it. What is this habit, or good habit or bad habit? What is the reflection doing to the child, and what is the child thinking? I think maybe this topic we can take a little more in detail some other time, or maybe some other session. um, uh, Not dealing in detail about those values and beliefs and other systems, or the parenting aspects right now. Yeah, but my invitation for you is to this whole reflection process, just invite the child, just understand what the child is thinking about it at this moment. And yeah, Lipika, non-negotiable task, uh, in a way those are also negotiated. So there are certain things which we co-create together, that which are important and needs to be done, but during the co-creation process we also bring that how it needs to be done, and that's where um, um, uh, co-creation helps in understanding and taking care of each other's need. mm. Yeah, Ashi, I will not be able to talk about 6 thinking hats in this space right now. Maybe we do take care of these things in the Jagriti session, not here right now. Um, Yep, I think Ankur, maybe you've got the answer to what we are talking about, is that whether you're talking about a 3-year-old child or you're talking about a 30-year-old adult, I think we can go by the what the child is responding, and all these tools helps us to become equipped with various options which we can experience, maybe create for the child, and then bring that in different Yeah, Jasmeet, you can create your own process of doing it. Chits, you can do whatever, whichever, visually, charts. You're already started thinking about how do you bring this concept to the child. So I also wanted to bring it that these buckets are just a sample buckets, not that you need to do it at your home exactly the same buckets. And that's where my next slide is that you can think of different areas for your family that which are important for you. Maybe maybe what's important for us as a family, as for the growth, what is important for us as a, maybe which area in self and social which we want to bring. Is the scheduling important for us, or scheduling is not important? In scheduling, what all things are negotiable, what all things are not negotiable, what all things is within my limit as a mother, as a father, to be able to do. What are those what is that in the process of scheduling, what is that I can or the child can demand that uh, so so um, so you can decide how do you want to work on, what are the family priorities. Some families has the priorities that there need to be a prayer time, there need to be a bath time, there need to be a meal time, there need to be a study time. um, so you can put a family bucket and then see what is that as a family you can or would like to do, and when would you like to do. Maybe you can have a dreams bucket, maybe you can have entertainment bucket. Why not have different aspects of life in your buckets while you are scheduling or rescheduling your day, or bringing this whole concept. So what in last 2 days what we were talking about I decide concept in isolation, um, um, or with respect to that particular, say, a task or maybe a particular thing. As we are moving ahead and as we are either getting more confused about it or maybe bringing more understanding, that how this whole concept get translated into this whole uh, day, a week, a month, whatever is the limit you want to um, make for yourself. Ankur. At this moment, maybe what the child is responding to you, maybe you may not be able to relate with that at that moment. But the idea is to give the invitation to the child and then see if the child is how is the child responding. Maybe he will not respond the way you would like the child to respond or think about it, but then I think child is responding in different ways. uh, I think with this thought, I just want to, I think I have one more tool which we would be the whole concept of design, discuss and do, which helps in adding value when we are doing the co-creation. But I think that we will postpone it to the next week. Next Thursday. And before we close it, we are closer to closing our session. Ratish, you want to add anything, or anybody wants to come on mic and share something? What are you thinking right now, and then we can close the session.
Hi, this is Vijay here. Just
Hi.
wanted to share a word that it's a learning process for us as well. I mean, I've been trying to practice these things for at least a year now, almost a year now, and it takes time. And the kid keeps teaching us again and again, this is not how it goes, this is how it goes. So, after a little while, you will realize that they pick up these things much faster than we do. And it's about keeping an open mind and being ready to learn from them and not from Ratnesh and Aditi.
Yes, so beautifully, Dviji, you have put. Yeah, thanks for bringing this point that yes, it takes time. 1 week is too small a time. Means iota of the you can say the space where I think through this program we are only just getting exposed to that what all different possibilities are there. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time to co-create. It takes time to understand. Yeah, thanks Vijay for bringing this beautiful thought for us to have some harmony that otherwise maybe it feels little overwhelming.
So let's end with a story. Okay, so this is a story. There's this guy who's in a supermarket and he sees a mother with a daughter about uh, mm, uh, 2.5, 3 years old, who is sitting in the cart. And he sees that the mother goes to an aisle where there are all candies and all, and the child says, "I want candy, I want candy." So the mother says, "Monica, relax. As we have decided, we will relax. We will not get very fussy about these things. So relax. There's only little more shopping left." Then she goes to the another aisle where something else the child sees and says, "I want this." Again, the mother says, "Monica, relax. You know, we discussed this. We thought about this. We'll not trouble it. It's just 5 more things I need to buy, and then we'll be out." Then she reaches the checkout line and the child starts wailing, "I'm bored, this, that, whatever, let's go, let's go." So again, the mother says, "Monica, relax. It's just few people ahead of us. We'll soon be out of here. Then we can go back home and have a nice meal and relax and do something more fun." And then she comes out, and when she's reaching her car and putting all the stuff back, this man is very curious. So he goes to this lady and says, "You were really patient with your child. How nicely you were talking to your child." And he says, "What child?" She says, "My child's name is not Monica. That is my name. My child's name is Tammy or something. It's Monica is me." So yeah. It's little more time, that's all.
Yeah, thanks Ratnesh for closing it with the story. And yeah, thanks Dviji for bringing the concept that yes, it takes time, and that's reassuring as somebody has put it up. Yeah, so see you on Thursday with one more or few more tools, thoughts, exposures. Till then, share your experiences on WhatsApp. Also wanted to bring it to your notice that Dviji, Sunita,